Do you treat every day as a celebration and a blessing? Do you need a reminder to do so? Because if so, today is that reminder. I am truly blessed today to speak with and learn from Cheryle, a warrior goddess who is celebrating years of surviving cancer. We're going to have her talk a little bit more in a moment about the steps she took and how she's not only fought her way back to her health, but how she's turning that journey into sharing and helping others through her blog and forthcoming memoir. I also love that she's thriving once again within her cultural roots with hula dancing, in which she is transformed into a higher dimension of light and healing. So join us today as Cheryle tells us more about her story. Her Hawaiian name means the fluttering heart or heartbeat, which you'll find is perfect for today's discussion. So Cheryle Mclaughlin is a surviving cancer warrior goddess who states, when one has a brush with death, you will never forget how blessed you are to be alive. And again, I don't give that enough oomph. I'm sure she can do better to it. But I hope it reminds you that every single day, we have to celebrate and treat it as a blessing. So welcome, Cheryle.
Aloha. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And I got to try your last name, Kapalilikahoupo.
It's close, very close. It's actually my Hawaiian name. It's Kapalilikahoupo.
Kapalilikahoupo. I think
You got it. You got it, Wendy.
got it. It took me
Perfect.
like 7 tries, but I finally got it.
Sounds good.
But that's where you're from originally, correct?
That is my Hawaiian name.
Hawaiian name.
Yes.
So Cheryle's going to dive more into her journey in just a moment about how she went from the lowest part of her life and how step by step, and even when falling and maybe going a little bit backwards, she is now back up and more resilient, more fierce, and more courageous as ever. I also love that she's going to share more about her love and the practice of hula dancing, which helped her heal physically and spiritually. And she's definitely my first hula dancer. So you can find out more about her blog. And I'm going to share more in the notes and on the screen in a moment so that you can go to the blog. And I really hope you're going to take a moment to check it out or consider also sharing it, because our hope is to inspire others who might be dealing with their own fight to overcome cancer. So Cheryle Mclaughlin at wordpress.com, but we're going to put that on the screen. So, all right, Cheryle, take us back a bit and tell us about the moment you learned life was going to be different and the journey you've been on since.
Well, it was a normal work day. I was in my office and received a phone call from my OBGYN doctor. And she asked me if I was sitting down, and I told her yes, I'm at my office desk. She then told me that she ran some tests from my last exam, and she mentioned words like hyperplasia and endometrial. I had no idea what hyperplasia was or endometrial, so of course I Googled it. Mm-hmm. And the words cancer came up and thickening of the uterus lining. So my husband and I at the time were trying to get pregnant. We both were at that age and place in our life where we wanted to start a family. Sorry, I got a little emotional.
Sure.
So anyhow, she asked us to come into the office. She wanted to talk with us. So we made an appointment. We went into the office within that week. She wanted me to have a DNC, which was to make sure and confirm that it was endometrial cancer. So it was, and my husband and I had to make the decision of if we wanted to have a hysterectomy or if we wanted to continue with the pregnancy goal to have a child before the hysterectomy. That was an option. We were told that we didn't have to make the decision to just have the hysterectomy, that we could take our chances. There was no guarantee that the cancer would not spread. So my husband and I went to dinner. I couldn't answer. I could not say, take it out. I couldn't say that just at that moment. So during our dinner conversation, my husband looked into my eyes and I looked into his eyes. And he said, what would be having a baby without his wife, without a mother? I'm sorry.
It's okay. Oh, Cheryle, it's okay. Yeah, take a moment. Don't worry about it.
So from there, the decision was made that I would have the hysterectomy.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the hysterectomy in 2006, and the cancer treatments and healing was approximately 8 months until the stitches came out.
Mm-hmm.
And within 3 months, the oncologist was able to tell me that the cancer had been contained and that the treatments would be every 6 months from there. So here I am, 13 years later, cancer free. I'm a strong woman. I'm a fighter, a warrior.
Yes.
And I'm here to tell you that you can survive and have a fulfilled life. I'm sorry about the tears.
I'd be more worried if you didn't have any tears. That's I mean, I when you started talking even about going to dinner that night, you must have just still been in shock. And so I'm sure you discovered emotions that you just never even thought you were possible. I'm sure there's
Absolutely. Yeah, I was numb, Wendy. I couldn't feel anything. I was in shock.
yeah.
It took time.
Mm-hmm.
It took after the surgery, after the praying with God, after support groups that I found, reading books, anything for support to help me get back to feeling and realizing what I had just gone through and what I'm about to go through for the remaining 12 years of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a challenge. There were hurdles. There was depression.
Mm-hmm.
There was a sense of loss, of not being able to have children. We actually would visualize and talk about how our children were going to look, and with his curly hair and with my black hair and our eyes. And it just crushed me.
And that's
Oh,
and that's a whole other, you're grieving the loss obviously of being
yes.
able to have a
Yeah,
child, which is on top of all the other emotions that you were dealing with at the time.
absolutely. It was just words couldn't express the pain and the grief.
Mm-hmm.
So I did the best I could with my support groups, and um, one of the strong pillars of the support was advocating. So I was able to chair for the CSECC, which was a charitable campaign for the agency I work for the state of
Mm-hmm.
California. So I was blessed to be able to chair for 3 years, and I was the very first poster cancer employee for the campaign. And I was able to advocate in front of 200 delegates for the state of California. So that was the beginning of healing for me, sharing my words, sharing my experience. I was only 36.
Right.
So I had the world in my fingertips,
Right.
and I didn't imagine anything could happen to this 36 year-old woman who was following the rules of being healthy, eating what she's supposed to eat, and doing the best she could. And then this happens. So it can happen to anyone. It could happen to our youth, and it does. Our youth get endometrial cancer, uterine cancers. It's
Yes.
just a
Speak a little bit more about endometrial cancers, because I feel like, there's a lot of information available and more discussion about breast cancer or some other types of chronic illness or disease that people are facing, but you don't hear as much about endometrial or uterine cancer. So talk a little bit more about, how did you find information, and was it hard to find a community of others who had gone through this?
it was very hard to find another community. It was almost non-existent, Wendy.
Mm.
In
Mm.
California in 2007, I searched high and low. My first connection was through the American Cancer Society. And they have a phone call system network that they have of volunteers. And they had to get volunteers from out of state. Nobody in California at the time was
Mm.
here to support or share some kind of information. And when you're going through this kind of cancer, you're looking for some type of support. You're looking for answers. You're looking for other women who've been struck with this endometrial cancer, uterine cancer that you weren't expecting. You were trying to start a family, and that special sacred gift was taken away from you, and you need that support when you're going through this loss. And so I couldn't find anyone. Finally, somebody from the American Cancer Society gave me a call back, and she didn't have the endometrial cancer, but she had a uterine cancer, and I believe it was either an ovarian cancer or a cervical cancer, because there's many uterine cancers.
Mhm.
And so she gave me that support. She told me about what she had gone through, the hysterectomy. She gave me advice about the healing, about the menopause that was going to start right away. Because you got to remember,
Right,
at
you were
36,
26. Right, you weren't,
so
your body wasn't ready for menopause, right?
correct. So you get the hot flashes, you get the emotional baggage that
All
comes
at
with it.
once with
And you get,
everything else.
yeah, so you not only are you dealing with the cancer and the death of the idea of having a child or starting a family, but you have this menopause that later spirals into other affecting illnesses within your body. So it's quite a enormous experience. And I'm here to say, I've been through this. I've survived this, and I came out strong and thriving. And I want every woman out there who ever gets touched or experiences a uterine cancer. Endometrial cancer was mine. I had nobody. I did finally find Fran Drescher from The Nanny.
Oh, yes,
She
yes.
has she has a she had uterine cancer. She had endometrial cancer. And she has a small supportive group of endometrial cancer, Fran Drescher, The Nanny. And I read about her. I got on her website. I reached out to her. I told her my story. I was so motivated because the fire in me was so strong, Wendy. And it's just as strong as it is right now. The way I'm talking to you, it
Mhm.
ignites that fire in me. I feel so strongly about support and getting the knowledge out and educating people on this cancer. And she was able to pass a couple of bills that actually had to do with screening for endometrial cancer. So it's Fran Drescher from The Nanny. You could Google it. Cancer Schnancer is her website.
Which is, that's perfect way. That sounds just like her. I don't know this person, but cancer schnancer.
Oh,
But you turned
yes,
it into some legislation that actually, again, made impact medically.
absolutely. Amen to that.
Amen to
Yeah,
that.
there's a lot more to fight, and there's a long way to go, but I'm here standing strong, and I'm inviting all of you to walk with me, carry the torch, and let's get through this. Let's fight it, and let's share, let's educate people. And let's make some noise, because this is the cancer that you have to remember is not talked about. It's
Mhm.
silenced, it's hushed as if it's a taboo. Just because it's uterine cancer, that is not taboo. We are not cancer. Cancer happened to us. And we're here standing strong with a strong, proud voice to let people know that we are here surviving cancer, thriving, and just ready to take it on.
So what do you think for you was part of the pivot? Because you're going through all this, what I imagine would be very depressive, emotionally, you go from the trauma, right? And shock to feeling overwhelmed, like again, 7,000 different emotions. What do you think was critical for you to make that pivot to say, you know what, dang it, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to help get the word out. And was it through your research? Was it just step by step? What do you think helped make you, pivot on that, in that part of your journey?
Well, honestly, it was in the beginning when I was wheeled in on my gurney, Wendy.
Really?
I had a private talk with God. I told him, I asked him if he let me come out cancer free, I would spend the rest of my life advocating. And I came out fighting. And I've been advocating since.
Yeah. And fighting it.
That 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 July of 2007 after my surgery, uh, the May I was already walking the Komen breast cancer race.
Yes.
And in August, I was already walking the ovarian cancer race, which at that time was the silence. It was actually called Breaking the Silence. And it was a race at UC Davis in Sacramento. And I walked that race, I jogged it. And then I attended the barbecue and the annual photography photograph with all of us uterine cancer, ovarian cancer survivors. And that gave me empowerment, gave me strength to continue year after year to spread the word. And yes, to break the silence.
So do you find now that you have, or are you seeing more women come forward and share their voice as well, being inspired by the lead that you're setting?
I honestly have been blessed to have people come to me with different varieties of cancers.
Mhm.
They hear my story through advocacy or just casual, a name from a friend that heard that you've gone through this. Can you share with me? So I've been given the gift to share support and advocacy to a variety of different um, cancers, and including family members who are still living and some who have passed. So I've been on a small scale. I've been doing what I was meant to do, which is to advocate, to support, to share, to give wisdom and strength and empowerment. So I've been very successful at that because the women, the men who have come to me and shared with me about their cancers are thriving. My godmother, she had a second bout with breast cancer, Louise Delon, and she just finished chemotherapy, and she did chemotherapy for 4 5 months, and she told me she found another lump. I talked to her last night. Actually, we did a, video through Facebook, so we FaceTimed, and she had the beautiful big smile. Her hair was about maybe half an inch. I made her beautiful wraps for her head. I told her she's just glowing, beautiful. She gives me so much life. I love her smile. And we just laughed and talked and giggled. And it was just pure love, pure strength. And I said, so when are we going to find out if it's cancer? I
Yeah.
have an appointment, she says, this week. They're going to do a biopsy. I said, okay. And what do we do if it is? Good thing we caught it early. She says, you got it. Chemo, it is. So that's the gift that God has given me, the strength to know it from the core, to know it from the roots, and to fight like hell.
And to share your voice so proudly, so lovingly.
to share my voice, my
Yes.
spirit. And it's God who works through me. So he's the blessing. He's doing all of this. Sorry, I'm so emotional. My
No,
goodness.
no, it's
Mhm.
understandable.
I didn't
So
get a tissue box.
it's okay.
So I'm sorry.
Nope, that's okay.
Okay.
Okay, so then we've got two other very important things we've got to talk about. And so I'm going to let you guide which way you want to go first. Either we're
Okay.
going to talk about how your hula, returning back to your cultural roots really again helped in your healing. But then we also have to talk about how you're helping others through your blog and how you're putting together your memoir. So should we hula first?
We could hula first. That's one of my
Okay.
favorite subjects. Let me tell you, I found my halal in Sacramento. My kumu juni. It is amazing. And a kumu is the teacher of the halal. Halal is the hula school. And she's been dancing hula since she's been a little girl. And I was invited to her class by a colleague at work. And how I found it was that there was a virtual um, advertisement or share in a magazine that we have at our agency, and it uh, it actually focused the story on the halal and Kumujuni's teachings. So I reached out to one of the colleagues who danced for the halal, and she invited me because I had told her that the last time I danced hula, I was probably 3 or 4 years old, dancing hula in front of the fireplace for grandpa. And grandma and grandpa had their babies on Lanai. So my mother is from Lanai, and which is across from Maui, very small island, not quite as small as Molokai, but it's small. And so I was dancing hula, not really ever taking lessons, just word of mouth. Uh, my grandfather called me Pumpkin. That was my nickname. And he would say, Pumpkina, do like this. So move your arms to the right and move your hips side by side. Move your arms to the left, move your hips side by side. So I would do that. And I would smile and giggle and laugh, not really realizing that that was a hula exercise. Learning later when I joined in hula for Sacramento Halal, that's one of our exercises. So it was just a blessing to be reunited with that. When I went in for the first class, which everybody first gets invited to, orientation, you get to find out about the hula school. And so you fill out, it's just not like anyone from anywhere can go. You have to fill out a 2-page, 3-page, 4-page application. So you fill out the applications, and then they go through the hula basics, and they share about the school, the vision, and the story about perpetuating the Hawaiian culture. It's not just about moving a hip or shaking an arm or shaking a body um, item. It is a dance. It is a story that you dance whenever you make a movement that has a meaning. So you're telling a story with each movement you make. So what may look like a waterfall or a nice wave with your arms and your hips has a whole complete story to it. It's not just that one vision, that one visual. So when you're dancing hula, each hula has a story. Each dance has a story and a meaning. And what it is it's perpetuating from our elders, our culture, our Hawaiian culture. So it's very magical. And I'm very honored to dance hula and dance hula with our halal and for and with my kumu juni in Sacramento.
Okay, so Cheryl, now then talk about how you're using this in your blog and give us the address on where people can find you, because my hope is that whether they're going through their own journey, or they need inspiration, or they know somebody else who's going through a cancer journey, And hopefully they will continue to share this and multiply it out further so that others can learn from you. And again, how strong you've become and how you got from the lowest lows to where you are now. So talk more about your blog so that people can find you. And I'm going to put it up on the screen and in the notes.
Okay. So you can find my blog at / Cheryle Mclaughlin.wordpress.com. And my blog is here to share in my journey with cancer, uterine cancer awareness, any kind, all of the uterine cancers, even cancer in general. I'm here as a survivor to share support, to advocate, to let you know that there is a voice, that there is somebody, and there is a community out there who have and who understand, and you're not alone. And it took me 13 years to get this strong. And I want you to know that you can get this strong, if not stronger. And together we will encompass all of the knowledge, all of the healing, all of the unity that we need to get through this cancer. It's not silenced. Uterine cancer is here, and we are not to be ashamed. No one should be ashamed to say uterine cancer, endometrial cancer, cervical cancer, ovarian cancer, because cancer happened to us. We are not cancer. So I am here to share with you support. Let's get educated together. Let's share the knowledge. Let's scream as loud as we can to let everyone know we are here. And we are conquering this type of cancer. We're learning, we're surviving, and those who are not surviving, their legacy lives on. We are here together, and you are not alone. And this is the beginning of a huge community, a huge following. And I want you to come along with me, and let's scream as loud as we can and in a soft voice, and let people know that this is here. We have uterine cancer in all ages. Endometrial cancers can happen to our youth. There's examinations, there's testing that can be done. And again, we are not cancer. Cancer happens to us, and cancer sucks.
Cancer sucks. And actually, I want to just reiterate an important point that you've made that we didn't really speak about before, but the importance of early detection. And so those annual checkups and, finding things early are so critical. So thank you, because that's a really, really key message. And
Yes.
I want to make sure I spell out your name too, because with Cheryle, you have an E on the end. So if anyone is just driving and listening in the car, I want to make sure it's Cheryle, and Mclaughlin is McLaughlin. I'm singing it like laugh is in the middle of your name, which again emulates your smile. So I mean, that's perfect. But that's so again, anybody who's not able to write it down, you can come to my website and you can check out the podcast notes or the video, because I'm going to have that direct link in here so they can find you really quickly.
Perfect. Thank you for your time, Wendy. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And let's scream as loud as we can that uterine cancer is beatable and we are survivors.
And thank you so much for your story and for your strength and for your willingness to share with others, because again, every person who speaks up is going to help save lives and help those who are dealing with such challenges right now navigate them more smoothly and more emotionally strong. So thank you, Cheryle. I really appreciate it. And I hope this is a reminder, again, for everybody else to take every day as a blessing.
Mahalo noi loa.
Say that again so I can make sure I have it right.
Mahalo noi loa. Thank you very much.
Mahalo noi loa. No, I just butchered it. Say it again.
That's okay.
I know mahalo.
Noi loa.
Noi loa. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Thanks everybody for joining.